Hello, welcome to this game review. We'll have a look at a game in which a lot of typical tactical motives could have arisen and also did arise, and basically we'll see how to not miss these kind of chances in our games. Of course, we cannot see all of the tactics that arise, but we should work to minimize the amount of misses that we make. So a good way to do this is to always look at forcing moves, which are checks, captures, attacks. So we'll have a look. And here bishop d6 was played, so already white is quite a lot better relatively, because this bishop is poorly placed, it's blocking the d-pawn, so black will have quite a lot of trouble developing. White played bishop c4, which is fine. Black made another poor move, h6, losing time. Now d4, knight c6, and already due to black's slightly weakening move h6 and a waste of time, black is already close to lost because white has a winning shot. So he starts with this. Black takes back with the knight, which is the most natural. Black should have taken with the bishop, which is of course not very appetizing, because here black loses the bishop pair. White can play f4, take the center. He has the bishop pair, the the dark squared bishop, and it will be quite strong long term. After knight e5, now white takes, and here white has the strong move, bishop takes f7. And the point being that there is a fork here, so if black doesn't do anything, just goes back, we will take the bishop and we will have won a pawn. This is basically a deflection tactic. We're deflecting the king to the square where we can check it. There's also this move king f6, which might be a bit more troublesome, but here white has the strong move f4, which actually just traps the bishop in the middle of the board. It also opens the position. The bishop can't really move anywhere, if here then here, so white will win back his piece, and black's king is terribly weak. So this was missed by white, but this is a very standard tactic in all of these e4, e5 positions, and this is quite important to know. We should always look at checks, and if we look further we can see more checks, and the combination should be found. Okay, queen h5 was played. This also kind of makes sense. This attacks f7 and e5. Black has to play queen e7 to defend both. And now again white has the deflection tactic of bishop takes f7. Seemingly f7 is defended, but the point is that after the queen takes, white can take here. And white has won a pawn for nothing. And also he has ruined black's structure. So white is again close to winning. But white plays castles. And after white didn't achieve anything with his queen on h5, now it gets kicked away. So white lost his chance. Chess is a very concrete game, so we cannot waste time like this with castling. If we have the tactical shot, we should take it. Otherwise, this whole operation of the queen did not make sense. Queen h5, queen f3, and now after d6 and black's developing, it's not really clear why white should even be better. White wasted a lot of time with the queen h5 to f3. And now white's e-pawn is a little bit weak, so there's not really much for white here. He should now continue development with knight c3, or if we want to be a bit more fancy, we can play queen d3 and f4 to try to trap the bishop again. But either way, queen d3 shouldn't really be played. This was played relatively quickly, and in the comments on the game it says that this is attacking b7 and f7, but I have to tell you that it's not really attacking neither of these, because to attack something would mean to threaten to take. So we're not really threatening to take b7, we're not threatening to take f7. So this makes the move kind of useless, and also we're just abandoning the e4 pawn. Even though there's a lot of stuff on the e file, there's no way for white to take advantage of this. So in general, we should make moves like this, just like moves like this, if we cannot continue with something concrete, because otherwise we're just wasting time with the queen instead of developing. But okay, queen b3 castles, now knight c3, and black takes the knight. we couldn't really do too much about the pawn. We could go knight d2. This is a bit uncomfortable. Black is a little bit better after something like b6, bishop b7, because our development is a little bit passive. We can't really move our pieces for the moment, but we can move it a little bit later. Either way, it's better than losing a pawn like this. Though here, of course, white does have a bit of compensation, because he has the bishop pair, and specifically this bishop. So rook e1 is a nice move, developing with tempo. The queen moves. And here b3 was played, which is a big blunder, and it was played after a long think. And this shows that white did not really check his opponent's forcing moves at all, because here basically the only relevant forcing move is d5. There are no checks for black, basically. There are no captures, so we look for attacks. How can we attack something? Well, it's either b5 or d5 to attack this. There's nothing else to attack. I mean, there is knight e4 or knight d5 as well. But d5 should be seen. And now that the queen is not defended on c3, this is a lethal pin. The bishop can't move, and white will lose a bishop. b5 is also possible, but why b5 is not as good, I will leave it to you to find out. But knight e4, now queen f3, and knight f6. So this isn't very inspiring by black, moving around with the knight. Now white puts his queen on g3. He doesn't want to exchange queens, though it is kind of possible to continue his development like this. White has a lot of compensation for the lost pawn, as he has a very active rook. Okay, queen g3, knight e4 was played again, queen f4, knight g5. So black is moving around with his knight. Now bishop b2, and actually here white is even better. Firstly, because he has huge threats, which we will soon see. Just generally, his bishops are really active, pointing at the king. This queen is around the king. Black's pieces are still not developed, while white is basically done with development. And here after b5, white has a crushing move, which is actually relatively simple, to attack checkmate, threaten checkmate on g7. The bishop here is very strong, and the queen can help it. And surprisingly, there's simply no move. The f-pawn is pinned, and for 1 second the knight can't go here because it will be taken by something, and it's just game over. Black can resign here. There is absolutely no move. So we have to find moves like queen d4. And checks, captures, and attacks do include attacks on checkmate. Threats of checkmate are in the attacks category, or you could even put them higher just after the checks, since of course our goal is always checkmate. The bishop d3 sadly was played. This gives black time to do something. Here queen f3 was played. Here the only winning move for white was queen g3 to defend like this. The point being that now checkmate is defended, and the big threat is h4 or maybe even f4 to kick this knight, which cannot move due to checkmate on g7. And black can't really do much about this. f3, knight e6, queen g4. Now black finds this defense queen c5 and queen g5, after which white has to go to the endgame. But the endgame is quite good, because he will pick off this pawn and he will not have a pawn disadvantage. A few moves pass. Rook e7 was played, a nice active move before taking the pawn. Rook c8 is very passive. White now takes the pawn, and white is close to winning, because in this endgame he has the bishop pair, he has the very active rook, and black's pieces are all badly placed, especially this knight. a6, bishop d7, and here white could also play h4, which is a nice move. Now the only square is this, and after something like rook d1 or bishop a4 or a lot of other moves, black can barely move, as the e8 square is taken. But instead bishop g4 was played. After knight e6, which is a terrible blunder, white can take, and now we see a typical windmill tactic. The rook can walk around and take everything on a 7th rank, but while giving checks. And after he took the bishop and black played e5, white won on time, but the position is completely winning anyway, as white has a whole bishop up.